Welcome to Naked Spirituality, a video blog series of sacred attention therapy in the Center for Human Awakening. My name is Rob Meager. For more information about sacred attention therapy, the Center for Human Awakening, and our video blog series, please visit our website at www.centerforhumanawakening.com, and center is spelled C-E-N-T-E-R. These video blogs support one of the Center's core activities, which is collaboration and partnership with individuals, communities, and healing centers practicing personal growth and spiritual development. And our guest today is Robert Schwartz, and we'll be speaking with Robert about his healing work. And I'd now like to invite Robert to come on screen.
Hi, Robert.
Hello. It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well.
It's nice to meet you in this way because actually our paths crossed a few years ago. And it's nice to reconnect again and to be able to have this opportunity to talk about your work, because when we did connect previously, it was actually about bringing you to the city I live in to talk about that work. But we'll have that opportunity to do so today. Robert, where am I reaching you today? I'm calling you from Ottawa, Canada.
I actually live in Ohio, but I'm in British Columbia near Vancouver at the moment.
Beautiful British Columbia, as we Canadians know it.
Very beautiful.
Yes, indeed. Robert, for those who are watching, listening, for those who are hearing about you for the first time, how would you describe yourself in the work you do?
Robert, I would describe myself as a hypnotist specializing in something called a between lives soul regression, in which someone can talk to a group of beings known as the Council of Elders. These are the beings who oversee reincarnation on Earth. And if you get in front of the council, you can ask them any questions you have about your life plan, how you're doing in terms of fulfilling it, and how you can fulfill it better. I'm also an author of 2 books, Your Soul's Plan and Your Soul's Gift. Both are about how we plan challenges for ourselves before we're born and why we do that. Your viewers can read large portions of the books for free at yoursoulsplan.com.
Okay. Now, what you offer, what you just spoke about in terms of the work you do, has that always been the case and the way for you? You talk about on your website, there was a date. It was an auspicious date, May 7th, 2003 specifically. Can you talk a little bit about what happened on that date and how your journey and work has unfolded since then?
I'd be happy to. The date of May 7, 2003 is very important to me because it was the day on which my life changed. I had been self-employed as a marketing and communications consultant, basically doing different forms of corporate writing. I did not find that work to be at all fulfilling. Robert, I used to tell people that I felt that if I were to fall off the face of the earth, none of my clients would even know. They would just plug somebody else into my position and carry right along. But at the same time, I had the distinct sense that there was a different calling for my life. I just didn't know what it was or how to figure out what it was. So I tried a few conventional routes to figure it out, career counseling, the Myers-Briggs inventory, and so forth. None of this really helped at all. And then I thought, I've got to think outside the box here. What can I do to figure out my soul's plan, so to speak? And this idea came to me, go see a psychic medium. Now, I grew up in a very conventional home, in a conventional suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, in the States. I didn't know anything about mediumship. I wasn't even sure if I believed in it. But I thought, why not? I'll invest an hour of my time and see what happens. Well, that first session ever with a medium was on May 7 of 2003. And it was the day on which my life changed. She introduced me to the concept of spirit guides. I didn't even know what that was. She explained that a guide is a highly evolved being who guides us through our lives after we come into body. And through this medium, I was actually able to talk with my guides. Now, they said a lot of amazing things to me that day, one of which was, they said, you planned your life, including your biggest challenges, before you were born. And I'll tell you, I just shook my head. I said, why in the world did I do that? And they said, you did this for purposes of spiritual growth. Well, we went on and we talked about why I had wanted to have these challenges.
Hmm.
The guides knew everything about me without me telling them anything. They knew what the challenges were, and they were able to tell me why I had planned them. I can't overstate to you the impact that this information had on me. I thought about it constantly for days, weeks, months after the session. And the effect that it had was that it created a very deep healing. Because for the first time, I could see the deeper spiritual meaning and purpose of these very difficult experiences. And when I noticed the healing effect, this was when I first thought about writing a book on the subject. And not long thereafter, I embarked on the path to writing what became, originally it was titled Courageous Souls, and then it was renamed Your Soul's Plan.
Mm-hmm.
And there it is.
And there it is. There's a second book that you've also written, Your Soul's Gift. Can you tell us a little bit about these two books, Robert?
What I did in Your Soul's Plan and Your Soul's Gift is that I interviewed people about very common life challenges. It's everything you can think of as a common challenge: relationship challenges, financial challenges, health challenges, alcoholism, drug addiction, sexuality, adoption, miscarriage and abortion, mental illness, everything you can think of. And then the people that I interviewed had 1, 2, or sometimes 3 sessions with mediums and channels in which we asked Spirit, did this person plan this experience before he or she was born? And if so, why? And then in the books, I present all the information that came through. So the intentions of the work are to help people awaken, by which I mean come into some sense that you're an eternal being, a soul, and to help them heal from their greatest challenges, largely by helping them to understand why they planned them before they were born.
There's 5 years between the two books. Your Soul's Plan in 2007, and then Your Soul's Gift in 2012. What transpired between the two?
The main thing that transpired was that I found the love of my life and married her very recently. And that is actually the reason why there was 5 years between the two books. Of course, I went further on the spiritual path, but I was very focused on this relationship.
Right.
But the two books are very similar in format. The premise is identical, that we plan our challenges before we're born. Your Soul's Gift is a little bit more challenging to the reader than Your Soul's Plan, because it includes some very sensitive and challenging subjects. There is a chapter in Your Soul's Gift about a soul who plans to be female and to experience a rape. And there's a chapter about a soul who plans to be female and experience incest as a child. And as you can imagine, putting forward an idea like that is not a comfortable thing for me to do, particularly as a man. And it's challenging material for the reader. So Your Soul's Plan is really more of an introduction to the concept that we plan our lives before we're born. I think it's easier for people to accept the fact, for example, that they might plan a health challenge rather than some of these more traumatic challenges that are covered in Your Soul's Gift.
Right. Robert, what are the most common questions that people have about past lives or in between?
The most common questions that I get, because of the nature of the books I wrote, are what did I plan and why did I make those plans? And the most common comment I get is, I can't believe I would have signed up for this, or some version of that statement. And I'll tell you, I feel that way myself, and it's very difficult from a human perspective to wrap one's mind around the idea that you would sign up for some very difficult or traumatic experiences. But what we see in the sessions that we did with the mediums and channels, and that I now see in the between life soul regressions that I do, is that even when the greatest of challenges is being planned, when we're scripting a negative role for another soul that's going to be in our life, the life plan is always based on great wisdom and unconditional love. And this is what people really experience in a between life soul regression, because when they get in front of the Council of Elders, The two most common comments are, I sense their overwhelming unconditional love for me, and I sense that they had absolutely no judgment of me whatsoever. And then we go on to talk about the life plan and why it was created that way. And people can really see through a direct experience why they wanted to have these challenging events in their lives.
Mm-hmm. Now, do sessions with the Council of Elders through you change the life plan in the current?
It's not so much that it changes the life plan, but rather the way one executes the life plan. So a very common thread of conversation with the Council of Elders is, how am I doing and how can I do better? And the council will sometimes make very specific suggestions to the person, try this, do that, change your approach in this way or that way. So the plan itself is fundamentally still the same plan, but now the person is able to fulfill the plan from a higher frequency, from a higher vibration, and with more love and wisdom.
Robert, how have you heard people have been affected by your books?
The way they've been affected by it is that they don't see themselves as victims anymore. You know, when you don't know about pre-birth planning and something bad happens, there's a tendency, a very human tendency, to think God is punishing me, or I have bad karma, or just that the universe is random and arbitrary and so bad things happen to good people. Well, from a human perspective, it's true, bad things happen to good people. But when you bring in the concept of pre-birth planning and you understand that you as a soul mapped out your life in great detail, it pulls you out of victim consciousness. You come to see that you are the very powerful soul who chose to have these experiences. So even if you take it no further, even if you don't know why you planned it, the awareness alone that you planned it is tremendously empowering and tremendously healing. And then if you go on to find out, say through a conversation with the council, why you made those plans, that's actually even better, because then you can fulfill the plan in a much easier, much less arduous manner.
Now, these two books, your Soul's Plan and your Soul's Gift, they are certainly a foundation of the work you do, but it's not everything you do, and there are other resources, there are other products available through your website, but you also offer under an umbrella title spiritual guidance. But there are a variety of those services, if we call it that, that you offer. So between life soul regression, past life soul regression, contact a deceased loved one, and then spiritual guidance sessions. Can you speak a little bit to that work that you do?
Yeah, 3 of the 4 things you just mentioned are forms of hypnosis.
Okay.
Contact a deceased loved one, past life soul regression, between life soul regression.
Okay.
The vast majority of the people who contact me have read one of the books and they want to know, what is my life plan? To answer that question, we do a between life soul regression. The past life soul regression is particularly good at addressing one issue. You wouldn't do it to answer the question, what did I plan? But if you have one specific physical or mental or emotional or spiritual issue, the past life is very good for that. For example, I had a client who all his life, this is a man in his mid-50s, had pain of unknown origin in his left heel. Doctors didn't know what was causing it. No one knew what to do about it. He did a past life soul regression in which he went back to a past life in India. He was a young boy running through the forest. He tripped over a rock, severely injured his left heel, and was actually crippled for the rest of that lifetime and became very bitter as a result of the injury. So that is a carryover from that past life. After the session, a few weeks later, he contacted me and he said, the pain is gone and I can walk normally now for the first time in my life. So it's very good for that. Contact a deceased loved one is exactly what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has lost a loved one, they'd like to communicate with them, and they'd like to do it directly rather than through a medium or channel.
Okay.
This session will take them to a trance state that allows them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth type of session that is not hypnosis is spiritual guidance.
Okay.
And that is one of two things. Either we talk about whatever they would like to talk about from a pre-birth planning perspective,
Yeah.
or we do something that I call the divine virtues exercise.
Okay.
In that exercise, we look at, I think it's now a list of 28 qualities that I have seen souls planning challenges in order to cultivate those qualities.
Okay.
In other words, when we go into the pre-birth planning session, we hear souls talking about the desire to become more compassionate or patient or empathetic, and they're planning challenges to cultivate those qualities. In the divine virtues exercise, a person can figure out which qualities they're working on, and that is very valuable information, because then when a new challenge comes up, they say to themselves, okay, I know I'm in this incarnation to cultivate and express patience and empathy, or whatever it might be. How do I do that in this new challenge? So it has the effect of immediately assigning deeper meaning to something that otherwise might appear not to have any deeper meaning.
Robert, if someone wanted to reach out to you, either to talk more about your books, the other products on the website, or for any one of those sessions you just spoke about, how can they reach you?
The website, again, is yoursoulsplan.com.
Okay.
They can also write to me directly at rob.schwartz, SCHWARTZ, at yoursoulsplan.com.
Wonderful. Okay. And I am assuming people can also reach out to you through the contact form or the contact page on the website.
That's correct.
Wonderful. Okay. Robert, thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy beautiful British Columbia.
Thank you. I will. Thank you for having me on your show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.